All right. We have Sean Chaudhary
Hello.
from Alchemy Labs out in California on the show. Welcome to the show, Sean.
Welcome to the show. Thank you for having me. It's actually Alchemy Leads, if you can see on the face mask.
There you go, man.
Yeah.
You ready to go out in public or rob a bank?
Oh, well,
Sure.
maybe both. Maybe both. It depends. It depends on how I'm feeling on that particular day.
So tell us about you. Give us a 30,000-foot view of Sean and Alchemy Labs and who you are.
Yeah, so actually, but it's Alchemy Leads.
Alchemy Leads. I'm sorry, Alchemy Leads.
Alchemy Leads. So we're a 30,000-foot view would be we're a self-funded, I guess, startup going back in 2017. At the time, obviously just me, bootstrapped, just sweat equity all the way. We've grown now to the point where we have 10 employees, like on staff employees. We have 30 clients, and so we believe in slow, holistic growth. So in those 3 years, we haven't, had 50 sales guys and churn and burn and kind of the old school model, right? Boiler room model. We've really focused on LTV of clients. So even on a month-to-month basis without contracts, we haven't lost a client since 2017. So, and I know that sounds bullshit. I would think that was bullshit. But so we're really fulfillment focused. But yeah, just getting, 10 to 15 clients in a year and keeping them satisfied over the next year. Usually when a client stays with us, they stay with longer than a year.
Sure.
And just the reason being is that, the work, the agenda, you can see we make it tangible, even though it's digital. So it's sometimes not as tangible as it should be. But so long story is we've gotten to the point where now we're comfortable, still growing. Corona kind of threw a hitch in the plan, but still going to grow year over year. And then hopefully this is year 3 technically. So hopefully, by year 5, we're doing a million annually. And that's with zero investment. That's with zero. That's with my debt as the beginning of all of
this. And let me ask you more about that.
Yeah.
Before we move on, right? So I have an appreciation. I don't think many people have an appreciation for some of the things that you said. So I want you to explain a little bit more about, because I did something similar, and I tell everybody that I started my agency by accident, right? I literally, I wanted to go out and do my own thing, and then I just wanted to do my work, right? And
it's like a passion. It's just it takes over kind of.
And then one day I woke up and I had an office of block east of Mall of America, high rent district, 34 employees, all this other stuff. And I hated my life. Like, because I didn't get to do any of my work. I was constantly managing it.
Delegating projects and involved in a bazillion things, never one thing.
Yeah. So,
wow.
And that was all bootstrapped too. Right. It was literally, and I could share.
Impressive though. That's very impressive. 34 employees is like,
it's
a lot to manage.
And then you're dealing with people problems, and you're dealing with Johnny looked at me funny and all this stuff.
Political drama in the office. Yeah.
So I want you to
I
want you to explain a little bit more, Sean, about what it means to bootstrap. And the days I remember an employee coming to me at the beginning, and she told me that she deserved a raise. Okay. And she was on the other side of my monitor as I'm looking at my bank account on my screen with $1,600.
That's all you can do. Like, okay, I'll give you a raise. I can't make my mortgage.
Right. Talk more about that, because I don't think, one, that people understand or appreciate it, but two, I don't think that they have the stamina for it. So when I come out and
that's the point. I think that number 2 part is that's the main point, is the risk tolerance for that is ridiculous, right? So to give you like a weird example, right? Elon Musk, after he sold PayPal, like a bunch of that money went to SpaceX, a bunch of that money went to Tesla, some of that money went to Solar City, and then he rented an overpriced apartment in San Francisco. So his risk tolerance was ridiculous. He spent all his earnings. He could have just been in the Bahamas for the rest of his life. but that's not how folks, are wired. So there's a certain risk tolerance. But on the top of that, when you talk about risk, it's just about taking the best risks you can possibly take, right? So whenever it's the way I look at it, I'm a bit of a gambler in terms of, I play the stock market, I watch sports, so I do have inclinations on who's going to do what. But when you look at, risk tolerance, it really becomes just trying to hit singles, not necessarily always swinging for the fences, trying to hit singles, trying to take smart risks. And I have a thing, always bet on myself. So if I'm going to invest in myself, even if my company may take a loss because we're going to do this crazy software project, and I might have to take 18K here and throw it over there, and it's going to ruin the numbers, right? My accountant's going to hate me. Well, I look at that more as an investment into something greater, rather than, oh, hey, you just lost 18K. You're not going to be able to pay X, Y, and Z with that money.
Sure.
So I look at it more like sweat equity. And I think sweat equity, if you look at some of these companies, sweat equity is really the before the investors and the private capital come in, in a lot of these companies, and oftentimes ruin companies. I can name one off the bat that's in the SEO space, but we won't go there. But when these private companies come in, that's usually where the growth has already been made. You know what I mean? In terms of that sweat equity, that bootstrapping, that's usually where, when you have their attention, it means that you've already sort of hit all of your marks, your goals.
I remember a very specific, so I ran into the mistake of taking on a really big client at one point when I was still small.
Like 80% of your whole revenue from one client.
I put it a lot higher than that even.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So we're talking about a Fortune 25 company.
Oh, wow.
Right. So they were like 3 months behind on paying us.
Right? Were they on a net 90 or what was the deal there?
They assumed that they were, even though we always billed at the end. We didn't do contracts, all this other stuff.
The old school companies will take advantage of the contract lists.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I remember, and tell me if this ever happened to you, but one of the dangers that happens with small businesses is they're always going after the larger client. I ended up having a large client that wasn't paying me. And I remember literally
diversification.
I want to say 3 or 4 days away from bankruptcy.
Oh my gosh. That's when the drug abuse starts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you walk in and you have all of these employees and they're looking up to you as the owner.
Then it's just the ultimate guilt trip where it's like, dude, forget what I feel. You guys counted on me.
Yeah.
So
they literally paid me like 2 days later. Okay. So have you ever had that happen where it's
I've had something similar, but so here's so this is the way I've avoided that, because I had that happen to me back in the day where I had a company that was big enough that they would justify their net 60, right? And one of the ways that they would justify the net 60 would be that, hey, there are going to be some months where you get paid like 2, 4, like you're going to get paid like 4 check. Basically, you're going to get paid you're going to get paid twice one time, a couple of times a year. So that was their whole justification. And basically it just turned into this thing where it was like some months they weren't on my book, other months they were on my book, and like, yeah, those are good months, but it wasn't something I could ever project out. It was never something I could bank on, right? Even with mail, it was coming from Texas at the time. There was nothing I could project for it. And so I kind of, obviously it's not like I turned that client down and they weren't such a big portion of my base at the time. They were maybe 1 out of 12 clients, and paying a decent rate, but then because they were net, I gave them a little bit of a FU price, slightly higher. But what I learned from that was prepayment is the only way to go for me. And I'll never change that. So I don't care if I'm talking to Mercedes-Benz. I don't care who it may be. If you're coming to me for our expertise, prepayment has to be the way that we work.
Sure.
That's, you know, and that's really the only way that you can actually get the resources underway for an onboarding process. As you know, that's like the most tedious month of any campaign. So, I've had that happen. I actually have, I've had a similar situation happen this summer where, there were two clients that kind of accounted for a little bit too much of our overall roster. And in some ways it worked out perfectly because we, in one way, upsold one, and then we added a couple of new ones. So it sort of became like a diversification where, like, all right, now, they're all, we can't get hurt by, any client. And needless to say, we haven't dropped a client yet. So
the other mistake that I made early on is I felt it was important to kind of crowdsource within our clientele. And
what do you mean by that, if you can explain?
Well, and I wanted all of them, I wanted to be very transparent, and I wanted them to know each other and know the efforts, because there were certain efforts that we could kind of pool our resources on and bring clients together. And then I had a client get pissed off. Okay. And
that happens, though. You can't like change your whole SOP because a client got pissed off.
They had dealt with the other clients so much that they turned around and started bad talking us to the other clients. And we lost 7 clients over the course of 2 weeks.
I mean, that's litigation in my book. Well, I mean, I know that sucks, but like, that's slander. That's libel. I've actually almost gotten sued by my former agency for something far less on a review, like a Glassdoor review, where they sent the C&D saying, hey, this is close to libel. And at the time I was like, oh, okay, all right, I'll delete it, whatever. I deleted it. And now to this day, fuck them. And, I've taken like 7 of their clients in the 3 years that passed. So I don't even care. You know what I mean?
I had that happen with a business partner, right? That I fired.
Oh, man, you're picking the wrong guys, man. You got to get a character assessment, like test or something that you build out.
Yeah. So the thing is, my professional nickname is Rain Man, right? Not because I make it rain, because everybody thinks I'm autistic, right? So,
I love how casual that was mentioned. Like, oh yeah, they just think that I'm on the spectrum sometimes. And
oh yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, man. My bro's on. He's like legit on the spectrum. So sometimes when I say the R word, I feel bad, and then I'm like, nah, dude, my bro is fucking 6'5" and a beast. I don't care.
Yeah, well, so I always thought that I needed somebody to take on the sales side, because I didn't want to talk to prospective clients. So I would bring in somebody, because again, we're back in bootstrap mode, right? We're back in, I don't have the ability to just pay somebody a salary at this point to maybe not perform. So I'm going to
or maybe it's project basis. It's not. Yeah, it's not really like appealing. Right. They might have better offers. Yeah, definitely.
So I had this business partner who actually was one of my former clients, the director of marketing or something. I think it's the director of marketing.
Yeah, see, relationships turn out to be like the golden goose in all of marketing.
Dude, that was the worst. It was the worst.
Get good relationships. Gosh.
Oh, God. So this dude, in the end, I had to file charges against him for criminal defamation, all kinds of stuff, man. It was crazy.
So I'm assuming that's worse than dick pics that you were talking about it backstage before this conversation. That's worse than dick pics, I assume.
Well, and the other thing too, I mean, let's go down that road. I mean, because I think there's this misconception, right? And I'm going to shit on our industry a little bit, okay? Because there's so much room to shit.
Go ahead, buddy. Go ahead. I think everyone would be in agreement.
So the reason why I don't belong to our industry groups on social media is because, one, I know that most of them are full of shit, but 2, they have this idea and they really point themselves out as being complete amateurs when they start talking about
they ask questions. Yeah, no, for sure. I totally agree. When some of the questions answer themselves if they knew what they were talking about.
Well, but then they talk about business ethics. right? And they're
Oh,
like,
right. But that's, you know what I look at that as? See, so I pay that almost no mind because I look at that as a, what do you call it? What do you call it? When you artificially kind of inflate yourself with
yeah,
no merit whatsoever, almost like an ego boost post.
sure.
I look at those. I look at those kind of like that. So it's like, okay, yeah, you can tell me all about how to do business, but like, is there $4 in your account, or, how's it working? So I try to skip past those as much as I can. But of course, I see those more and more, and especially in some of the groups that we're in. But the group that I'm trying to make is actually, I would love it to be almost more actionable than you have a very good group. I forget the link group, the name of it.
Oh, the Do Follow link group.
Yeah. So that's a really good group. I would like it to be that active where it's like, hey, every day, there's something new that you could try out if you're doing it for dispensaries, if you're doing it for or cannabis software companies. There's a lot of different niches around cannabis that I think we have, just based on tried and true methods of some of the stuff we've done. I think we could actually give value, like give free value, as long as the right folks are in there, and then as long as the right folks are receptive to it. Of course, you're always going to have haters, but
I'm going to share. I'll share a secret with you that nobody has even picked up on yet.
All right,
Okay?
I would love to hear.
Last week, I left all of my own groups.
Why is that? Is that to see it as a visitor would, to kind of understand if it's
so I was so tired of getting sent messages. I formed a group based on what I felt the industry.
the messenger part is insane.
Yeah,
the messenger part is it's hard to deal with.
I realized I was in.
I got a new phone for it. I'll put it that way. Like, I literally got a new phone for it. Skype and my Facebook messages. It was getting ridiculous. I think in the past, you know how you have SJW trolls just fucking adding you and saying all kinds of stuff. I have I don't know what it is, man, but in the past couple of days, if I look at my Facebook analytics, I have like 1,500 new followers that they just added me, and I guess I pressed accept, and all of a sudden it's like, who the fuck are you? You know what I mean?
Well, that's where the SJWs came from, and the what I call them the boogaloo bit.
But you post some questionable things where you're looking for a response. You do.
Absolutely,
you do. By the way, what floor are you on right now?
I'm not on any floor.
What the fuck? So that's just the backdrop?
That's just the backdrop.
God, I love Minnesota except for the riots.
Yeah, well,
I'll fuck with you a little bit, but
yeah, no, I did this backdrop thing because I'm the typical dude that my girlfriend controls our bedroom, so I had to put my dresser in my office.
That's actually smart. That's probably a better usage of storage.
It is, but if I take away
interior design,
if I take away that backdrop, you just see a dresser sitting there, right? So I had to like cover up the dresser. I don't have anything to hide, but it's like they're right behind me is the only place where a dresser can go.
Yeah. Well, no, I have. You should see my. This is my office, right? I wish I could show you more. Maybe if I get out of the way, you'll see a little bit more of it. This is one part of it. I'll get the chair out of the way. So this is the. Oh, look! You know who this reminds me of? Who is that guy who ran for president with all the charts? 1994 against Bill Clinton.
Bill Clinton.
I don't know, man. I'll find his name out. But so check this out. This is the Alchemy poster. This is the Kobe. This is the Kobe poster. This is the obviously the sales Bible. I don't know why the fuck I have it, honestly. Obviously the accredited business. This is the music. I could bump it, but I know you don't like hip hop, so I'm not gonna bump it.
I love hip hop, man.
Oh, all right. So maybe we're gonna bump it. And this is Steve Garvey. You don't fuck with Steve Garvey. I'm gonna tell you one thing, Brad. Do you know who Steve Garvey is?
No clue.
Who's Steve? He's awesome infielder for the Dodgers, Hall of Famer from the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking Steve Harvey, man. I was like,
you can fuck with Steve Harvey, dude. Yeah. I give you permission. If you need permission, you got it. If you need permission, you got it, man. Fuck Steve Harvey. No, I'm kidding. Actually, I have no beef with Steve Harvey, except that he's gotten a couple of things wrong in terms of the announcements and whatnot.
Yeah. Well, so let's get back on the whole agency thing, because I think there's some nuggets that you can share. And
Yeah, oh, for sure. Oh, and there's more space over there that I could show, but fucking whatever, dude. All
no,
right.
I think there's some nuggets that you can share that
Yeah.
I just don't want to. So going back to the whole group thing,
Yeah. Let's do
you
it.
know, I started all these groups because I thought they were necessary for our industry, and then they got popular. And then
Mhm.
everybody's sending me messages, and they're like, I don't know, what do you think about this? And I'm like, I fucking don't,
Yeah, it's like
right?
asking the group if you're gonna ask, or you know what I mean, like get everyone involved, not just me. I'm not just the only guy. Yeah,
Right. That
get that vibe. Yeah,
and then one of the things that I don't even know if I should say this, but I
okay.
just cringe. Okay, like
So,
the groupies, right? You get,
oh man,
oh my god, and I'm like,
yeah.
I'm just a normal dude. You know what I mean?
Dude,
I fucking stand up when I take a leak. I know that some dudes
you
don't.
know what? So I totally understand what you're saying, but that's you and I, right? So like, there's an ethical, there's like a code of honor or whatever. There's a characteristics that we've come up with, right? Not everyone has come up with that, and then not only that, there are folks, and this is part of what gets back into the bad name of the industry. There are folks that almost think that like this is easy. So like I talk to so many people, or I see so many different posts where it's like, oh hey, I learned SEO 3 months ago. What are the best blase blah that I should do? And it's like, dude, you learned SEO 3 months ago. Um, why don't you go keep learning, come back to us in a year, and then ask a legitimate question? So like, and obviously you want to help as many people as you want to help, but like, then you got the folks that are in the message groups, right? In the groups that are like, oh, hey, I'll do it for 40 cents. And you're like, dude, how are you helping the industry at all by not knowing what you're doing on the first hand, but then on top of that, cutting everybody's knees out from under them? It's so those are the two things with SEO and with groups specifically. I think that's why it's so much more crucial. Like you've ran big groups.
Mhm.
I am a firm believer, even with my client base with Alchemy Leads. I don't want 100 clients. Like if we have 50 clients 2 years from now, I'm happy as hell, right? But so my point is, like with groups, as long as I have quality users or quality subscribers, right, who are all trying to provide value, who are kind of using what they can, who are asking intelligent questions, who are engaging in some way somehow, then I'm okay. It doesn't have to be 20,000 users. It could literally just be a solid group of 2,000 awesome people,
Mhm.
So I think I'm gonna make sure that I quality control check the folks allowed in the group,
Mhm.
just because that's needed for sure. I mean, like there are too many scammers, spammers, all of the above. Oh, hey, baby, fucking, like, oh yeah, you're just a fucking one picture lady, probably a cop. I don't know. Who knows, man? You know what I mean? Who knows?
We had so one of the things I want to say, this was like 2013.
Hmm.
2013, I had kind of a bad year from a mental standpoint. Right?
Okay.
I
I
was I was probably borderline crazy because we were building and growing and all this other stuff.
Yeah, I understand. I had that in 2017 where it was like rock bottom, where like I had so much shit on my mind that it was almost like a clusterfuck of nothing. Like
Well,
where,
this
yeah.
was as the agency was becoming successful.
Oh wow, okay, so okay,
So the issue was the growing pains of, you're growing, you have employees. This employee now has had 7 grandmothers that have died.
ah,
You know what I mean? So
the emotional intelligence part of it. That
yeah, so
uh,
I had this. I actually just I fired a client the wrong way, and I'm going to share this story with you because they were
I
in.
would love to hear it. I would love to hear it because we fired a client, but luckily in the right way, I think.
They
But
were.
mm,
This was the absolute wrong way. I promise.
mm,
I got sued
tell
on.
me, tell me.
But so it was a local client in the health medical, big $77 million a year client, or
Okay,
$77 million in revenue, right?
okay, okay.
So the when I started with them, they were a $23 million a year company, and
How much longer, like in the beginning of the contract, or at the beginning?
we were on board with them for about 2.5 years at that point.
Okay, gotcha. So more than doubled growth in 2 years. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yeah. So we
yeah.
showed up. We showed up, because they were local. Me and two of my guys
Hmm.
show up on site. to their headquarters, and they're a pretty big company.
Okay.
And I don't even mind mentioning who they are. It's a company called Novu Health.
Okay. Okay.
So they do a whole bunch of AARP and all this other stuff. But anyway,
Very cool. Very cool. Very cool.
so this dickhead, his name's Tom Wicca, the CEO, right? Pulls up in this. We all show up. And
Yeah.
I'm putting him on.
Oh, I can care less. I love it. I love that. As you can see, I'm organic. I'm authentic. You're organic. You're authentic. Say what you got to say, brother. Go ahead.
So this jack off shows up. We get out of our vehicles. We're all kind of doing that, before you walk in, game plan of here's what we're going to talk about, and here's the way, and I'm trying to be the quarterback.
Okay.
And this fucking twat waffle shows up in his baby blue Bentley convertible. Okay.
So he's supposed to be the shit right off the bat.
Oh yeah. Total, what do you call him? Prima donna. Total prima donna. Shows up in his baby blue Bentley with the convertible top down, pulls up right next to me, and two of the people that work for me. And I'm nobody big at that point.
Right, right. You're somebody, but you're not showing off. Yeah.
But this jackass says to me and my two employees, "Hey Brad, someday when you're successful, maybe you'll be able to afford one of these," and drives away.
Oh, I would fucking punch him in the face, and he's not a client anymore either.
Yeah. So I look at my two guys. I'm like, hey.
Even if I had the money to buy a F458, which I love that car, I would not buy that car. I'd still buy the fucking Tesla, and the 35,000 one too, not the not the Y.
So this jackass, we go up into the building, right onto their floor.
What a douche.
And we show up for their
meeting. Fire him. How did you take it?
Oh, I'm getting there, man. I promise I'm getting there. So
I'm excited.
This is like no expense spared. Their headquarters building. They have one of those, marker walls with the paint, like dry erase walls, in their big conference room. And I show up and I'm building up steam. You know what I mean? As this dude is talking, I'm getting angrier and angrier. And he starts down this whole political bullshit with his people in the room and my people in the room. We're there for a meeting. And then he looked at me and he said, "Well, what are you going to do about blah, 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 blah?" Okay. And I said, "Well, let me show you, Tom." Right. And I grabbed one of the markers off the conference room table, a Sharpie. Okay.
All right. What'd you say? Fuck you, Tom.
Sharpie. Right. Yeah. Not dry erase. And I walked over to their dry erase board and I said, I wrote on there, "Tom is a fucking moron. You're fired." Yeah. And I put the cap back on and I put it on their conference room.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that if that's the firing, because like Tom deserves to be fired.
But I damaged their building with a Sharpie marker writing on there.
I mean, but dude, that's $75 cleanup. That's a little bit of Chlorophyll and some Lysol wipes. I think we have some in the we have a cleaning product right here that we can get some Sharpie off on the whiteboard. We used to have our whiteboard is down there. Come on, man. The $75 worth. That's a level of disrespect that I haven't heard. I've heard folks, I've heard clients say like stupid stuff like one of the stupidest things I've ever heard is like, "Oh, I don't believe in websites." I still hear that from time to time. And then so when I hear that guy, I'm like, okay, well, good luck in 5 years. Good luck in 2021. Like, just good luck right now, right? Like, I don't go to the grocery store. I order my stuff from Butcher Box. Shout out, and Liquid IV. Get all this stuff mailed to me. I don't go here and there.
I always respond with, "I completely understand. Hey, I need to make a phone call. Can you give me your telephone book?" Right?
Yeah, but that's such a big ask. If they're a douche. You know what I mean? If they're a douche, it's not going down. If anything, if they're a douche, it's going the opposite way, where like they're sending you their lawyer, or they're sending you know what I mean? They're sending you some bullshit.
The story I always tell people is, this was years ago too, and the guy actually is a very good friend of mine now. Yeah. Back then he wasn't, but it was this restaurant chain right here in the Twin Cities. Mm-hmm. They had like 30 some locations, so they're not a small company, right? And this guy knew, his name's Tim. He knew I was. Why is it that every dickhead's name starts with a T? But anyways, so
your dickheads, not mine. I got different letters.
so this dude calls me in to their restaurant where their headquarters is, and he wants to just like, nickel and dime me, and he's like, well, I think you should give us 3 months worth of service.
Do you qualify these guys well, or?
Well, not back then, I didn't.
Okay, gotcha.
I mean, I'm talking years ago.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay.
So I'm a pretty on the spot witty asshole at times. You know what I mean? I can just roll with it.
I can see it. Yeah, I can see it.
And the waitress walks over and asks me if I'd like anything, and I said, yeah, I'd like one of everything on your menu. And she said, really? And I said, absolutely. And Tim looked at me and he said, well,
was it on Tim's tab?
Do what?
Was it on Tim's tab?
No. I looked at him. I said, dude, I'm only going to pay for what I like. Right? I mean, it's okay. Just bring everything, and then
let's see what we want. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'll just nickel and dime you in the end, and I'll
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, they never came on as a client, by the way.
Honestly sounds like you avoided a potential issue.
Well, let's talk about
that. Someone with that type of revenue, who's scared to make little investments. Like, dude, I pay bonuses to my employees often when they hit certain targets. Like, so even when it means that, like, oh yeah, we made no money this month. Like, yeah, we brought in X amount of money, but maybe we made no money because some of the profit we could have used. We actually sent a bonus to Tanya, or we sent Chris a little bit more money because now he's working on 2 projects that are, you know what I mean? Like we that's why we couldn't have investors yet at this point. But so it's funny when you work with certain clients where their priorities are so mixed up, because that's really what it is that so even though they've generated a ton of growth, and a lot of that growth is due to your efforts, or is at least in part due to digital. Sure. The fact that they still don't have a like firm belief in investment in digital shows that like that's not the company that's the forward looking 5 years from now. That's
so let's dig into that, because I think you have some, like I said, you have some nuggets, you have some gold there.
Yeah.
So somebody comes to you and says, hey, I want to hire you guys and XYZ. And one of the biggest questions in the industry that I can't answer, okay, because
that's tricky for me then, but okay.
Well, the secret is that I never went after leads. All of my clients, 100% after the first 3 clients, were all referrals.
Okay, so that shows that you're good at what you do.
It does, but I get asked a lot. Well, how do you go after clients, and how do you make sure that it's the right client, and all this other stuff? And I don't have the answer for people on that. So I want to give you the opportunity to expound on that, because what I see is that you're growing right.
Right.
Started with the bootstrap
a couple of different ways, and really, I think number one that people aren't doing right now, just look at your inbox, look at your spam folder specifically, right? Hey dear, hey sir, guest post links $4, right? And all types of just junk spam emails, like, oh hey, we can, we write content. I get so many. I'm not going to put them on blast, but I get so many emails from folks that want to write our content, or want to do the stuff that we do in-house already, right? And great for them, but they're sending me emails in mass all the time. That's all wasted effort in my book. We do it a little bit differently. So we do cold email as well, but we do a ton of data scraping on the front end. So like we'll look at like companies that are doing like $2,000 a month on pay-per-click, right? And we'll get that list and find those companies and then append that to their databases, or like who's their CTO or CMO and Then we'll also get a list of like clients that are in certain CBD niches, on any one of these VC sites that show that their actual annual income. Right. And then we'll append that to the title database of like who the guy is, who's the email that we need to reach out to. And then, of course, all of that is being appended to LinkedIn, and we're emailing. And so when we email folks, we're not emailing saying like, hey, we love you, a whole paragraph. I think that's the junior mistake, is like just the longest. If I see a long email, unless I know you, I'm deleting.
Sure.
So we, email very short questions, very short titles, like, hey, dude, I saw that you guys, are killing it with this blog. And then in the post, it'll just be like, we helped another site very similar to you, gained 3,700% more traffic in the past 3 months. Are you interested? And just by setting out in mass, we probably get 5 to 20 leads a month. I mean, sorry, five leads a week, about 20 leads a month, just off that. And some of the leads that we've gotten, especially in the CBD field, because we're hitting CBD really hard. Some of the leads that we've gotten have been big boys, very big boys, where you definitely would have heard of them. I don't even want to say their names because they're in progress now, but
Sure.
But definitely very cool.
Let's dig into that a little bit more because so I always say that you have to, with any marketing campaign is successful or fails based on what I call the 3 W's, which is what is it, what does it mean, what does it mean to me as the person looking at it, right? So you're going in and you're saying, all right, here is somebody who we would like to potentially do business with. So they're a prospect, they're at that seed stage, if you will.
Right.
And I'm going to reach out to them and I'm going to give them that something in that email that it answers those 3 W's.
Exactly. Go ahead.
Here's what it means.
Yeah.
And then here's what it means to you, right? So, we're going, who's here? Here's who we are. Here's what we've done. And then would you like the same thing, right? Would you like a similar result? Is it something that is tangible to them?
Exactly. And so what oftentimes happens is, so whether or not we hit the right person on the email, they'll send. So like we've had CEOs send to the CMO, like, yo, Sean, check not me, Sean, but like another Sean, hey, check this out. We just got this from Sal, or we got that. So essentially it's very short. It's within 2 sentences, and it's really one of those things where you kill it or close it in some senses, right? Because like you either don't answer or you do answer. But really it opens up conversation because it's letting them talk.
So let's talk about nursing for a moment, because one of the things that, I don't know if you see me just absolutely go the fuck off on social media. One of the things that drives me nuts with salespeople is they're nursing their leads, right?
Yeah.
I have this no next philosophy, like get to the point, figure out if there's interest. Well, they might do blah, 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 blah. I don't fucking care what they do until, I have a credit card number, or we're doing a kickoff call or whatever.
Right.
Get to the next one, right? So now you're at a stage where you've piqued somebody's interest, but you still don't really know who they are.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So that's the intro call.
What makes them a good fit?
That's the intro call. So the first thing I do, let's say that there's been some correspondence and it's like, oh, hey, Greg, we can talk, right? First thing I'm doing is I'm having a short intro call with them, maybe like less than 20 minutes probably, and trying to work with them at their best times. And then basically letting them talk, number one.
Sure.
So, shooting the shit with them a little bit. If they're in Maine, like, hey, how you doing? How's the weather? Da-da-da. Oh, you guys got hit with that storm, and da-da-da. Whatever it is, right? For the first few minutes, getting them comfortable. And then really that same 30-second elevator pitch that I did in the beginning of this conversation, they always do, right? Because everyone loves talking about their own business and their own passions. Sure. And so those sort of give you insights on like where you can pick further. And usually I've already done a top level version of research on their site by this time, so I have some sense, some idea, but I'll ask them. And some of the main questions that I ask are like, what is your average order value? So like when you sell a product, what is that value? Because that makes or breaks a campaign in my eyes. And then another thing also, of course, you got to, define that their region, if they're national, international, so on and so forth. And then, the big thing is, are they open? If I can show them how we can make them so much money, are they open to a call where we schedule out a much further, more complex audit? And that usually works. That process usually works. So it's call one, we send case studies. So we have quite a few case studies. And then, call 2 is usually that audit, that SEO audit, where we have like we have a very good close rate on that audit. Yeah. So that's kind of like the long step. And because we don't have to grow so fast, we've turned down RFQs recently more so than brought them in, because literally 10 clients a month, if we can, a year, if we can keep 10 minimum clients a month growing, just new clients, adding them up, that'll get us to 50 clients within like, 18 months. So which is just where we want to be. That's like the goal. That was the pipe dream in 2017 when I had that.
What's a disqualifier for you?
Oh, a disqualifier for sure is someone who thinks they know SEO, period.
Okay.
And by that I mean someone who says, not someone who's had a ton of consultants, because most of these guys have, right? But someone who almost and I actually have a client that was borderline on the fire stage about 2 months ago until we set him straight. But someone who, like, for instance, will say, oh, I know I need title tag optimization, and I know I need this for this many pages, so the price should be X. And so that kills me, because it almost makes them think that like all SEO factors are equal, which is such bullshit. So and then they'll come to me and they'll say like, oh, like, why isn't like the stupidest things like why isn't schema updated on my one of my product pages? And it's like, dude, because you don't have a schema plugin, like you're a fucking idiot. You know what I mean? So sometimes you can sort of tell based on when they think they know so much, but then when you really kind of prod into what they know and you realize like, oh my God, you actually have no clue what you're talking about.
I had one that called me. I was at a conference last year. I was at 31 Flavors in Vegas.
Yeah.
And I get a phone call on a Saturday night from this client.
That also was a fireable offense.
This dude starts yelling at me about something that he watched a Neil Patel video. Okay.
Oh my God. That drives me nuts.
And then he said, well, blah, blah, blah. And this is supposed to be this way. And this is supposed to be this way. And I say, hey, you know what, dude? I said, it's Saturday night. I'm in Vegas at a conference.
Dude, leave me alone.
You brought up somebody who I think is an absolute douchebag in the fucking industry.
Not just you, half the SEO community.
Yeah. And then you want to tell me how everything I've been doing for you for well over a year
is bullshit because one guy said something.
Because Neil, I'm a douchebag Patel,
said one thing.
Said that whatever in a 9-minute video, the king of fucking 9-minute videos. And I came unglued. Like, for me to actually, and people don't realize this. Everybody thinks I'm just like this tyrant. But I raised my voice. I was screaming at him over the phone, right? Like literally, this guy pissed me off. He knew which scabs to pick.
Yeah,
more than my little brother. You know what I mean? And they're like perfect at it.
I mean, but dude, some clients have the button. We like the one I was talking about recently. We were about to fire. I'm working with him I'm working with another consultant on his project, and we were both at our wits' end with him, just like micromanaging. Like, hey, can I get a report on what you guys did last week? And we were like, well, we're working on like 4 things this week, so don't you want us to wait till we, And he's like, well, I would love to get a report then, and then also, can you tell me when you're going to finish this week? And then, oh, hey, here's this quote. Can you give me a quote for another project? And it was like, dude, you're moving way too fast, not letting us do our work,
Sure.
Luckily, we set him straight where we were just like, look, dude, like, you're getting a bargain. Like, you better sit the fuck down. And if you do, we'll kill it for you. If you don't, we can end it right here. And that usually always works.
And that's kind of why I removed myself from that agency stuff.
Right? Yeah, I can see it. I can see the affiliate being kind of, the next phase in my development.
Well, and I'm kind of dabbling a little bit with the affiliate stuff, or I'm just starting to I don't know, because I'm bored or whatever.
Right.
I see all these other, well, I'm not going to talk about that because I'll end up talking shit about a whole bunch of people that off, but so I tended to, and I shared this with you before, but what I started doing was, somebody would come to me and they weren't a good fit, and they were just, it actually started with this this client called 3 Moms Stitching. Okay, it was a custom embroidery company, and they were brought to me by somebody else, a referral, and blah blah blah. And we spent literally 3 months 3 months, and we're talking about redoing their website.
Oh, that's not enough at all. Yeah, no ways.
This is just in the prospect phase, right? We hadn't even signed them on as a client.
Ah,
And
red flag also right there.
Yeah. So finally,
yeah.
So I said, okay, so you want us to redo your website where people can come in and design their own patches.
Bro, indecisive makes me nervous. Indecision makes me nervous. And that's what it sounds like on a 3-month sales cycle, just on the redesigned sitemap, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's ridiculous.
So then I said, well, here's what our costs are going to be, right? Boom, boom, boom.
Too high.
Oh, it was even worse than that.
Oh man, I believe it.
They were nice ladies. Okay. They were very nice ladies.
Right.
I don't want to pick on
nice
them.
ladies. I mean, yeah, whatever.
They said, oh, well, we thought you would rebuild our website for $500.
Another factor I have is I don't work with nice ladies.
Yeah.
I need tech savvy folks. That's why, like, I really, when I look at my targeting, it's always CMOs, CEOs, CTOs, CIOs. It's, you know, sometimes it's like the marketing director, the off chance, or maybe even the marketing manager in the off chance. Sure. I've worked with the IT manager, but it's almost never, you know, just like a nice old lady.
Yeah.
Well, you know, because it's almost like they're speaking a third language, because tech is a foreign language to most folks.
So going back to that medical company that I talked about.
Yeah.
We rebuilt their website and did all this other stuff. And they said, well, we really want you internal here while you're doing the finishing design.
I hate that. Pay me more. Pay me more. Pay me more.
They did.
Okay.
But I found myself having to work with their designers, and they have their own marketing department, all this other stuff. And as I'm working on stuff, and I
see a little bit much.
Yeah. So this one gal turns around and she's like, well, you know, I think that Google should do this. And I turned around and I said, Google doesn't care what you think.
Yeah, Google's not going to do shit for you. Yeah.
And she said, well, that's just unfair, right? And this actually, you know, I think it caused I think it's why I fucking hate Twinkies so bad, right? Because I worked.
Because you're like me, like, so I stay away from him because I'm a local boy, but you have Twinkies all around you.
Yeah,
I know that. I see it. You know, so like if I lived in fucking, like, I'm lucky my office is here in Calabasas, but if I lived down the street in Malibu, oh my god, I'd be fucked.
Yeah. Here in Minnesota, I mean, it's I call it Marana soda, or I call it Mintards a lot.
There's a million names. I've seen them. I've seen all your posts.
Do you listen to Yellow Wolf at all?
Yeah, I used to love Yellow Wolf before he kind of got a little bit racist for my taste. I don't know, man.
I love that trunk music.
The Trunk Music Volume 2 and 3 are the fucking best album mixtapes, whatever.
3 for a loop, didn't I? Right? You thought I was
lying. You do know your music, that's for sure. You do know your music.
I listen to everything, man.
Yeah, man. And there's some stuff I like too, man. That's that would be different. Like, you know, I like some country stuff, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
Have you ever listened to Black Violin?
No, but that sounds familiar. Maybe should I check them out?
Yeah, that's a group, right? They're tight, man. And it's kind of like hip hop violin.
Oh yeah. Oh shit. Black Violin. I'm gonna look them up right now.
Yeah. So they have a song called Stereotypes that's badass, and then they have one called
oh hell yeah.
A flat, I think is what it's called.
Hell yeah, man. And dude, I'm a big time like so when it comes to rock, like Muse is my shit, Nirvana's my shit, Led Zeppelin's my shit, Pink Floyd is probably my number one. Money is like my number one song. Fucking, you know.
I never got into that.
Yeah, my stepdad was like a classic rock guy.
Yeah.
So like my influence, almost all my influence is like from him in terms of like the rock stuff. But you know, so I still like Tiesto, and like, you know, I'm almost 30 now, so I'm whatever the fucking cool things to listen to for the past few years were.
So I kind of got stuck on it. I never really got into the what do you call them, hair metal bands or
the grunge metal.
Yeah. And so I kind of got stuck on like the Eagles and Boston.
Oh, I like the Eagles, man. I like the Eagles are real cool. Boston's real cool. I like dude, you're gonna hate me. I kind of like Air Supply.
There, I mean, I can.
Yeah, but you get your testosterone points taken away when you say that.
Nah,
No,
Neil.
you don't think so?
Here's the thing. I'm gonna throw this out there.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I'm a big Travis Barker fan.
Oh, me too, dude. You know, I've met him like 3 or 4 times. He lives right here.
Dude, I will come out to California.
He's
You
the
know,
coolest guy, dude. I've met his son Exhibit at the AMC movie theater. I kind of like blew up his spot a little bit. I was like 14 years old. I was like Travis Barker. He was like shh, and then still came through, signed my autograph. Exhibit saw it, signed my autograph, and then they all had to leave the movie because too many people found out that they were there. But like I've seen them many times. Travis Barker's like Blink 182, one of my favorite bands. What's My Age Again, one of my favorite bands. Even going far back to like that era, like even Yellow Card and like Panic at the Disco and like Fall Out Boy. There's a bunch there that I like.
so you might disagree with this a little bit,
Yeah.
but I was never a Blink 182 fan. Not my thing.
No,
Okay?
that's fine. I was at the time I was 11. I was like 9, 10, 11, you know.
But
You know.
I think that Travis, and this is gonna sound. I mean, I am such a fucking groupie of Travis Barker. No shit. I think that he was underserved.
Oh, for sure.
In that
Blink 182, for sure. That's why they like kind of like had their bullshit because they all wanted to do their individual things and they didn't even do their like supposed reunion tour or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, because like they all have the fucking. That's what it is, bro. Ego. Always comes down to ego.
There's something about. I mean, I'm just like mesmerized. So when you have you ever heard of Josh Vietti?
Say it again.
Have you ever heard of Josh Vietti?
Is that the violinist?
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually saw him playing on Santa Monica Boulevard back in the day.
He's the shit, right? And
yeah,
violin, right? So there's
big now Josh Violin. Let me check him out.
Josh Vietti, Vietti.
No way, he's big right now. Oh shit.
So listening to him, I decided I said, you know what? Anybody can learn how to play the guitar. And I'm not picking on, my connection. But it's like, I don't know, the whole thing with, learning how to play the guitar to try and get laid or whatever. I'm so past it in my life. Right?
Yeah.
So I decided in 2016, I decided to teach myself how to play violin. Okay. No shit.
No. How are you doing?
I only know how to play 4 songs.
I mean, that's good.
And I don't know how to read sheet music. But what I would do is I would listen to A flat from.
You can listen, so you can play by ear.
Yeah. So one of the songs
is a universal skill. You don't need the sheet music. My buddy's like that. He plays piano by ear, and he's a fucking genius. But he's been doing it for years now too. That's crazy. Like picking it up self-taught. That's crazy.
Well, and that's kind of how I see Travis Barker. I mean, he just plays so seamlessly.
Yeah. You know I mean? Anything he wants to do, like his mind thinks that same way. You know what I mean? Yeah, he can try anything. He can play bass tomorrow. He can play anything, I
was actually at this business networking thing, and I'm with all these. It was the launch for lead pages.
Oh wow, yeah, I used to use them way back in the day.
Total fucking scam, right?
Yeah, way back in the day.
So I was at this launch for them. They had just gotten all the VC money from Atlassian and all this other stuff.
Yeah, pollutes the whole fucking industry, bro.
I'm standing around talking to all these people, and they're like, well, who do you admire, right? Or
that's a good question.
Well, yeah. So they asked me. They're like, well, I admire Warren Buffett, and
the stock answers, the fucking you read 2 business books in your life,
right? They're all quoting Malcolm Gladwell and blah blah, right? So they get to me, and I'm like, Travis Barker.
That's crazy. That's awesome. But I'm sure they did not know how to take that. I guarantee they did not know how to take that. That's almost like an answer like, is he fucking with us?
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Because that's that's real left field shit.
Yeah. But they're all given like the I don't know, social networking, Vistaprint CEO answers. You know what I mean?
No, yeah. They're all giving the Larry Ellison and fucking, whoever else that you can name. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know if I would kick you out of that meeting or if I would approve you to the next round. Travis Barker, I would think this guy's either on LSD or he's a genius.
Well,
You know what I mean?
that's the Rain Man part. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, that's true.
one of the places asked me to speak.
Oh my God. I forget about your nickname being Rain Man. So like coming back to it is just like, oh yeah, that's the spectrum part. Okay, I got that. All right.
So,
Okay. No,
so
like the numbers are just appearing like in meme form in front of your face.
well,
Yeah.
and so this morning somebody asked me to speak at a conference. I don't know. They said they'd send me the information tomorrow, and they're like, "Hey, would you want us to come speak at this conference about blah blah blah, et cetera, et cetera?" And I don't want to give it away yet because I don't know where they're at in
Yeah.
their thing.
And conferences nowadays, who the fuck knows?
Well, it's a digital, it's
Yeah.
like
Oh, okay. Okay.
a digital conference, and even to this day, when you talk about I'm leading you down this road, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I responded with something like, "Are you sure you are reaching out to the right person?" Right?
Right.
In the response, I was like, "Are you sure you didn't like mean somebody else? That you want somebody else to speak at the no, no, no. We want you to come speak at the conference." I'm like,
Okay.
are you sure? Like, do you read any of my social media? I mean, like what kind of conference is this? Is this like a conference on how to offend people or
Or is it digital marketing? Because you can make a digital marketing thing fucking, you know what I mean? That's your thing.
well, it is digital, right? So
Okay.
it is a digital conference that's happening, but I guess it's getting back to when people ask me, they're like, "What if you had to put your thumb on one thing from a business standpoint that causes somebody to be successful?" And it takes social media out of it, right? Because I'm going to take on social media for the right reason.
Mm-hmm.
But in business, I always tell everybody my number one most important aspect of what caused me to be any form of successful, which not as successful as others.
Of course, yeah, 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 for sure. We're all aiming for something higher. Like
Sure.
nobody's doing better than the next guy. There's always someone better.
I always tell everybody, stay humble,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
totally. And because you as quickly as you go up, you go down. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And you meet the same people on the way up that you meet on the way down.
Oh
So
yeah.
if you don't treat them with respect, they'll remember.
They might be riding down with you.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
You
and
know?
I think that's one of the aspects. I mean, going back to because I want to go back to, bootstrapping and all of this other stuff. And we talk
Yeah,
about
man.
perseverance and I think there's a transition that happens
And I
in,
think to that meeting, because you're essentially talking about like what is that one thing that puts you over the edge, you
yeah,
know, in that digital meeting. I think that's really it's like perseverance. It's like there are books about it. I don't know if you've read A Drunkard's Walk.
I have,
Um, it's an amazing book, man. Basically, it's a million different case studies about how the only thing in life that really matters is just continuing of trying perseverance. So like you'll find that like Hollywood executives that bet on movies, they had a 50-50 chance of being right on blockbuster hits and flops. And the only ones that made the actual success were the ones who kept, rather than quitting in year 5 with losses, the ones who kept making movies through 20 years.
mhm.
So it talks about how like not only is the 10,000 hour rule applied in there, but it also talks about how like your perseverance on one thing may lead to an ecosystem of so many other things once you get that far. And then of course basically saying that folks quit too fast. So like if we actually A Drunkard's Walk, How Randomness Rules Our Lives is the
Have you
name.
ever have you ever read Who Moved My Cheese?
I say it again.
Who Moved My Cheese?
No, but that's actually, dude, I have like a big ass reading list for the month. So
You can read that book in a single weekend while you're sitting on the toilet. I promise.
all right, who moved my
Okay.
cheese? I got it. I got it. So that's actually next on my list. I'll get that on my Audible. But so basically, like getting back to perseverance, the number one thing I say is because most of the time, dude, when you have a passion for something, right? We talk back about bootstrapping. We talk back about sweat equity. We talk back about like self-investment.
Mhm.
And really, that doesn't pay off until 10 or 20 years, maybe even 40 years if you're giving it the long shot. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So like having the perseverance to know that like, yeah, maybe it doesn't work out in year 5, but like as long as you're growing, 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 you're aiming for year 10, you're aiming for, a year down the road. Like all of us can say, like, you know, you've mentioned that you've been in 20 plus years. Like, you only hit the sweet spot once you've worked it enough. Most folks, I feel like they try it for 3 years, then maybe they try something different. So they're starting from the bottom of that new thing, and then maybe they try something different, and then they feel entitled, like, oh, I've spent 9 years doing these 3 different things. Why am I not where I want to be? And it's like, well, you've kind of like you know, instead of choosing one field, you've kind of become intermediate at like 3 different things. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it's like you're not really an expert in one different things. And I think like being a generalist versus specialist, right? I think having that expertise and the perseverance usually leads you to be a generalist and a specialist, because you specialize in whatever you're persevering, but you become a generalist in all the things that are associated with it. So it's like, if you're running a company, the people skills, right? You have better people skills, or you might have better project management skills because you're always running projects, right? You might have better, that sort of thing. So like, I feel like the perseverance kind of leads you to essentially better yourself and your craft. And the only way you get that perseverance in some of my mind, like no pain, no gain.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that bootstrapping pain in the beginning, that taking an operating loss, you know, the first 2 years, that's really, you know, you do that for the long term, the perseverance, the long haul. And I think over time, every business owner agrees it pays off.
Let's have some fun. And,
Yeah.
and I'll go first, just because I always love picking on myself as the example.
Yeah, for sure.
What's the dumbest thing you've ever said to a prospective client? That you
Oh, wow. I have a funny one. Oh, man, that's hilarious. I'm going to get my, oh, man. All right. So this is actually like last month. And so a client came to us. So I know you do. I think you do web development projects a lot. We don't like web development projects. Like, we're probably a little pricier, and like I have to love your concept, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we had a lady come to us, and she has like a multilingual shipping site in like to fucking third world countries and shit. Like so shipping to places that don't have like address nomenclature.
Mm-hmm.
Almost imagine like DHL for like Palestine.
Sure.
That kind of thing. Yeah. So she wanted to build us she wanted us to build a Shopify site. I immediately said, like, the first thing I said was like, how do you make any money? And she, like, I thought she would take that in the right way. Like, okay, you know, tell me your business model, right? But she was like, oh, you think that because we ship from Egypt and Palestine and that we have no money? And I was like, no, I don't mean that. I mean, like, how does your company get paid in all of this? Right. And then she mentioned it, and it was like, basically her profit margins were like, she makes money off the stamps and the cents and the shipping. Like, so she makes like dollars off each sale. So she needs volume, and she has no volume because she has no website.
Sure.
So there's no way that's going to work. So I'm just like, hey, look, honestly, like, I know some companies that might be able to help you out, but there's no way that like we're going to be able to make a profitable situation happen for you. And I basically told her straight up, like, we don't want your business. And then she hung up. Her husband called me back. Her husband had a little bit of an accent and was like, dude, you don't want our business. Like, we found you online. You didn't find us. We found you. Like, you're supposed to, customers always right, blah, blah, blah. And I just had to hang up on him too, block. And that's part of the reason I have a second number, because the dude would call my cell phone. So I don't know how, I think front desk probably gave him my cell phone thinking it was like a real guy. And so he would just call my cell phone so often that I just blocked his number and got a new cell phone. But that was like, in August, the shipping company that wanted us to do almost like a Ghost Shippo, but specific to Egypt and Palestine.
Wow. So
yeah.
So I'll pick on myself. Just, you know, I was doing this big kind of presentation thing, and I'm standing. One, I tell people openly that I'm not good business world dealing with women. Okay.
Oh, I'm great with women as long as, like, I'm wonderful with women as long as respect. Like, I treat women the same way I treat men as long as respect. So that's the thing. As long as I respect, and like there's respect given. Like, one of my best clients, Sharon, she's awesome. Just because she's so respectful, she has that like Southern charm.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm so respectful. Like she's my, like, I love her. I send her gifts for no reason, but like, it's all about respect, you know?
So I'm talking about, I'm very cut and dry, right? I'm very black and white, and
You're abrasive.
I'm abrasive, but I'm more abrasive to the hypersensitive people in my backyard, right? Because they're already looking for a reason to get pissed off.
Yeah, but you kind of attract those folks, man. So you're kind of like more abrasive to the folks that you already are like gathering up in your backyard, you know?
Sure. So I'm doing this presentation, and I want to say it was like 2014, somewhere right around 2014. And I get done, and I said, and I'm sitting in this room, and it's I didn't even realize this at the time. Okay. Because going back to the Rain Man thing, like everybody's just the same that's out there, you know, and I really don't see people so much, right? Which I'll tell you a funny story after this.
You have ideas that you're seeing.
Yeah, I'm always going on in my mind as
you have ideas that you're thinking about and seeing, but you're not necessarily like.
So I said, does anybody have any questions? And I didn't realize that about more than 90% of the room were women.
Yeah. Okay? My close rate with women is amazing.
And so this one woman said, or asked a question. I said, any questions? And she said, what are you an expert at? Okay. And I literally, without thought, said, getting divorced next.
Oh, well, that's why you're a fucking idiot. I'm divorced too, and I would never say that, buddy. Like, if anything, I'd be like, to tell you how good I am with women, that me and my divorced ex are still on cordial terms, and we co-parent better than your fucking parents probably did.
Sure.
Because that's the truth. But like, I would never lead with a divorce, but I can understand you're fucking, dude, you're like, you know who you're like? You know that comedian? You're like, God, Dave Attell, you motherfucker. That's who you're like.
I don't know who that is.
Dave Attell, you got to look him up, man. He's the funniest drunk comedian. Like in the 90s, he was big. Dave Chappelle loves him. Dave Attell. And he's basically like, he's just so abrasive. He doesn't give a fuck. The dirtiest jokes. Like you talk about women, he talks about his last, like same shit that you would probably, I'm telling you.
I'll have to look
him up. Look him up. You have to. I'll send you a link if there's a way to send it in here. Can I send it in the chat? Yeah. So I'm going to send you 2 things in the link right here.
So what people don't realize is, and that kind of went back to the whole Rain Man thing, right? That, one of my clients actually, Data Card Group. You've heard of Data Card Group, right?
I think they're a big merchant processor. Yeah.
Yeah. So Data Card, their VP of sales actually gave me the nickname Rain Man. And we were
big time.
Yeah. So at first he started calling me the Two-Fisted Coffee Ninja.
Does that mean you got girth, or what does that mean?
No. Every time I would show up to Data Card Group for a meeting, because they're right in my backyard, I would bring in 2 cups of coffee.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so Two-Fisted coffee. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and they were like,
"Yeah, is he like strapping coffee to his back?" And
they're like, "Why are you bringing in 2 cups of coffee?" And I'd say, "Well, I don't know how long this meeting's gonna last. I might run out, right?" So I would always bring 2 with me, and then we had a different client actually invite us out to Vegas for a trade show for CinemaCon. Right? And I invited Aaron, who my name for him was Aaron from Key and Peele.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm good. My bad. My phone fell.
Did you ever see the skit with Aaron from Key and Peele?
Oh, yeah. Hey, Aaron, you in here? Yeah, no, totally, dude. Was my shit. I grew up on that and Dave Chappelle. That was like my teenage years.
So my nickname for Aaron was Aaron, and he would call me the Two-Fisted Coffee Ninja. But he invited us out to, or a client invited us out to CinemaCon out in Vegas.
Oh, okay.
And I invited Aaron to come with us from Data Card.
Yeah.
And, so we all go out there, and we decided to make it like a work vacation. I brought my girlfriend with me. And
awesome. So you like plan to, mix business and pleasure. I always do that.
So yeah. I don't have an ability to turn off business like light switch.
Neither do I. I wake up with it. I go to sleep with it. When I like, my business is my brain.
Yeah. So we're out at CinemaCon. We're out at CinemaCon, and Aaron had made reservations for Joe's. And if you ever get out to Vegas and go to Joe's, the
I
steakhouse.
think I've been there.
So
Yeah, I think I've been there. Although I gotta admit, every time I go to Vegas, I come back with hazy memories. Every time, man.
so
much less money.
So Joe's, you can't be seated until your entire party is present. And if you're on a Friday night, I think it was, or it was a Saturday night or whatever, if you're 5 minutes past your reservation time, they give your reservation to the waiting line people, right?
Okay.
So we did CinemaCon all day long, and then the girls were supposed to meet us for dinner. Now, in my mind, they're all just sitting by the pool, having a time,
enjoying.
And we show up 15 minutes before our reservation, and the girls aren't there, right?
Oh my God! I have a similar story that happened last night.
Hold on. So we go through, and the girls show up, and it's 3 minutes after 7. Okay, and I'm going into like meltdown, full autism mode. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Panic attacks. Yeah.
So my buddy Jeff, he looks at Teresa, his wife, as they're walking up. He says, "Oh, honey, you look so beautiful, blah, 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 you know, et cetera, et cetera." And I look at my girlfriend, I said, "You're late." Right. And so we go in to eat, and we're sitting there, and we get ready to leave. And okay, well, it's time to leave. And I get up and I start walking out, and Aaron taps me on the shoulder, and I was like, "What?" Because we're talking about business the entire
right.
He looks at me, he says, "Dude, why you gotta be a dick?" And I said, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
What did you say?
And he said, "Your girlfriend is hurt. She has been crying all the way through dinner. She is physically injured. You need to address that." Right. And I turned around, and here's my girlfriend like carrying a dead leg with her, trying to walk out of the restaurant. This goes back to the Rain Man, right? And so he's like, I said, "Well, I'll figure it out when we get back to the hotel. Let's just get back to the hotel." And he's like, "No, dude, we're walking because it's a block away. You're getting a taxi, and you might need to go to take her to the hospital." So we get her back to the hotel, and I'm like, "What the what's the matter with you?" Right? And she's like, "Well, I fell." And I was like, "What?" I think you're being
what?
I don't know.
Oh,
because we weren't with them. We weren't with them when they were walking from the hotel over to, the theaters. So I said, "Well, blah, blah, blah." Anyway, so we fly back to Minnesota, and she goes to the doctor when she comes back, and she tore her Achilles tendon.
No way.
Wow. So Aaron calls me, and he's like, "What the hell was the matter with your girlfriend?"
Hey, Aaron.
Yeah. I said, "Well, apparently she tore her Achilles heel."
Is she still your girlfriend, or I'm assuming not?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no way. Okay, you got a trooper, bro.
Oh,
you got to keep her around long term.
Yeah. So, and I pick on her a lot, but
okay, yeah.
So then I told Aaron, I was like, "Yeah, she tore her Achilles tendon, and she had to have surgery and stuff like that." And he was like, "Dude, you are a total Rain Man." He's like, the world doesn't exist when you're in business mode. It literally, everything can be happening around you.
And that's something you got to work on. But like at the same time, out of all devices that you could possibly have, that's probably the one and only best vice to have. Sure. That, you work so hard that like you're maybe self-destructive in that regard. But like if you look at alcoholism, if you look at drug abuse, if you look at any other, being lazy, if you look at any other potential option, being a workaholic isn't the worst. The worst, like look at me, I'm here and look at you, I'm here doing something relatively business related on a Sunday. Yesterday I was here, I actually got 2 proposals out the door, and I think I got a verbal close on a Saturday. On Labor Day, the actual Monday of Labor Day, I left a message for a long time CBD prospect who we kind of fell out. He called me back the next day and was like, "Dude, I was impressed that you called me on Labor Day. I sent out 2 gifts to clients that should be arriving on Tuesday, where like their kids are going to be fucking decked out in baseball gear, just because they've been with us 7 years now." So like, I'm all over the place, but yeah, just like you know what I mean? Work, the second I wake up, it's what am I doing? What projects are moving forward? Who do I need to coordinate with on what projects? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. What do I have to do for the agenda? So like work isn't a place that I go to. That's why like, and man, I'm here in Calabasas. So You know, even though the office is open, it's still tentative. I try to be here on weekends. I try to be on off hours. You know, I'm here maybe Monday, Friday, maybe, you know, and then I try to be home in my home office on the other half of the side. And, you know, you basically have the same thing either way. But, you know, it's just a matter of like really making sure that like, you know, I'm always in coordination, like, you know, working remote with everybody. So like whether that's in our project management, our Skype, our email, everything. So it's like it's a 24/7 thing, you know what I mean? And then there's different time zones to consider. So you might have folks in the UK, you might have folks, you know, in different places. So it's like even when most folks are going to sleep, I'm still working because it's like, oh, I got to talk to my guy in India and see what's going on. Or I got to, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's 24/7, man. But you know, you hope that it's like this for maybe 10, 15 years, and then you live the easy life and have Mai Tais on the beach.
Yeah, it's definitely a lifestyle that isn't for everybody.
You have to want it.
You know, I still feel bad, but one of my best friends ever in life told me he was going to start a business. I've known him since he was 4, since we were 4. And he said, what can I, you know, what advice would you give me?
Yeah.
And I won't mention him by name because he actually watches.
What advice did you give?
I told him don't. And you know, that was tough. And
I've had someone tell me that too. I've had someone tell me that if they could make one, like a 20-year vet business owner, and when I was starting in the game, he said that if he could change one thing in the world, he would have never started a business, and he would have let his cousin run it. And
that wasn't the point I was getting at with this guy.
Yeah.
Because you know, he said, well, oh, because it's, you know, blah blah blah. And I said, no. I said, I've known you for 40 years.
Right.
Okay. And you
long time
do not have what it takes to be a business owner. And his feelings were hurt, right? And sometimes you have to make them.
Of course, that, but fuck a feeling, you know?
Well, and I told him, I said, I said, you are somebody who will do very well in a corporate setting. You always have done very well. I said, but you just don't have what it takes. And I think when people say, well, why do you piss off these SJWs all the time? And it's like, because I know I'm just going to quit in like 24 hours, right?
It's almost like, it's kind of like one of those things where you just say what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, it's probably bound to piss some people off because like, they don't want to hear, you know what I mean? Like people want you to say what they're ready to hear or what, you know what I mean? Like what they want to hear back. So if you're going to say what honestly comes to your mind and maybe your mind thinks a little bit differently, then folks aren't going to necessarily like want to hear that, you know?
Well, sometimes you have to hurt feelings, right?
You have to. Like part of the reason I have so many Kobe Bryant tats, I don't know if you can see them, but like I have the 8, I have all the championships. I have on my back. Hold up, I can show this one. You have 24 and another one. Part of the reason I have so many is because like you kind of got to embrace the dark roads, and like that's one of his things is like you got to embrace the like he was a hero, you know, when he was with Shaq and Kobe in the 2000s, and then he had that rape case in Denver, and he became the villain, and so mob mentality was born. So like even when people hate you and they're booing you like it doesn't matter what they think.
Sure,
you know what I mean. And so you have to be the villain.
That goes back to the perseverance.
Yeah, exactly.
I tell everybody
the same.
Well, I tell everybody that, you know, you might not like what I have to say. You may hate me for what I have to say.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it will be the truth.
Exactly.
It will be.
Yeah.
You will never be able to call me a liar.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, it'll benefit you in some way if you actually give it if you give it credence, you know.
Sure. And that goes back to, you know, somebody actually an employee at one point said something about, well, I think I work harder than you, and my assistant.
An employee said that to you?
Yeah. Somebody said, I don't know if it was an employer, I don't remember who it was, but my assistant said, nobody in this world, nobody.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's like that's weird. If I heard that, I would almost take it as a joke as well. Like, oh, okay, all right, you have no idea. Like, think about, like, I tell this to folks around me, like, I have friends who are like, oh, you're so successful, like, overnight success. And I'm like, dude, you have no fucking idea like what goes into this. You know what I mean? There's so much that you do not see. So many invoices that I pay that like you have no idea. Like if you just saw, if most of my friends saw a $3,000 invoice coming out, they'd be like, oh my God. But we do that daily. And part of it is like nobody sees kind of like the reality behind the scenes. And then once you're famous, of course, you look like an overnight success. Once you're where you want to be, then you're an overnight success. But everyone knows it takes 10 to 20 years,
It might not, it does happen, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things that pisses people off regularly is I'll say anybody that can afford $10 business cards, TV or Vista print coupon, 500 can be a CEO.
Yeah, but that's not a CEO in my book.
Exactly.
See, a CEO to me in my book has an operational workflow that generates operational revenue. Period.
Mm-hmm.
That's a CEO. So there's more than just an idea and a name and a brand, but there's an actual streamline of processes. You know what I mean? That generate revenue.
And it's really
But everyone wants to call themselves a CEO nowadays.
Right, and it's a pipe dream. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This idea of they see the celebrities and they're
it's glamorized. It's glamorized to be one.
Well, let's parallel this because I had such just an absolute argument, and I rarely argue with anybody, but somebody said something about. Do you follow MMA at all?
Oh, dude, Tony Ferguson is my guy.
Who?
Tony Ferguson from the 805.
Yeah.
Tony Ferguson and I saw John Jones one last night, but like I expected him to. And I'm not a casual. I'm a hardcore.
So I'm a big Conor McGregor fan.
Yeah, he's cool.
I think your camera's messing up or your internet's messing
up. Is it? Let's see here.
Yeah, give it a second. It's red or something.
Yeah.
Maybe. I think your internet's screwing up, dude. I don't know.
I think I have full internet.
Oh, it's coming back. It's unfroze.
Yeah.
All right. So one of my guys is Conor McGregor.
Okay.
And, everybody. Do what?
I said, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the reason nothing. The guy was living in his car making $188.
Oh yeah, he is dry for sure. And he's worth every penny he's earned.
Yeah.
I have no disrespect to say about that guy. There's quite a few guys I've especially in that space. Almost everybody in that space, nobody's silver spoon.
Well, and I'm going back to the tie-in Kobe, right? So when you look at the greats, you have the Kobe Bryants, the Michael Jordan, Barry Sanders. When you look at football, you have the Conor McGregors, and one of my other, somebody I look up to is Oscar De La Hoya.
Oh man, yeah, he's awesome. He was awesome. Now he's a little bit.
Well, he's old.
He's old, and he's trying to fight again, which makes me scared.
But the dude just started with nothing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. And now he has Top Rank, which has Mikey Garcia and all the youngins coming up under him.
Yeah.
He is starting his own empire. I mean, he's not starting it. He has his own, same empire to Mayweather. They have the similar, competing empires, Top Rank and Mayweather.
And that's what makes it so hard for me because I'm like, I look at people right now and I'm like, look at basketball. Let's use Kobe as the example. All right.
Yeah.
I don't see any Kobe's right now.
There aren't any Kobe's right now. That's the point. So that it's almost like an old breed that died off because Kobe didn't have social media and Kobe didn't have, this generation. So the closest you can get when you talk about a Kobe, you can't talk about another Kobe. Maybe you can say LeBron is a different version of Magic because there's social media and that's it. But there is no Kobe. There is no, and there never will be a Kobe. There never will be a Jordan. There'll be a LeBron, which will be some version of a Magic. But that's it.
But is Stephen Curry kind of close?
He's kind of close, but he's going to be his own version of something. He's not going to be he'll be his own unique thing. He's not going to be a version of anyone else because he plays like no one else ever had before him.
And I openly tell everybody, and I'm not trying to get on a bandwagon or anything.
No, go ahead.
But I always tell people the reason why Kobe and Jordan were as great as they were is because of Phil Jackson.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And think about what Phil Jackson's main job on those teams was to manage ego.
Sure.
And, because you have three of the best players, like when you go back to him and Jordan and Scottie Pippen, but also Shaq and Kobe, you had three of the best, four of the best players at the time making the most money, and you still somehow got them to believe and buy into a system.
Sure.
So, yeah, no, I totally agree. I think I'm curious, dude. I'm actually there's some playoff games today, and football is on today, man. Who's your football team?
I grew up a Lions fan, but I'm at a stage right now that I haven't even watched UFC because I was gonna order a UFC fight and one of their guys came on with like political shit. And
they're all doing political shit, so that's the only burn. But I try to just like ignore it as best I can. Whatever. I like sports,
I do, and at some point I'll pick it back up, but maybe
no, right now it's too raw.
Yeah, I'd rather work right now. I'd rather do shit like this.
Yeah, no, exactly. I get it. There's more important fish to fry. That's something that, as it is, it's really just an entertainment value for like the struggling American populace. You know what I mean? So, fuck it. What can you do? But hey, man, I really enjoyed this. Maybe you can have me on as like a regular guest, and we can kind of get more and more coordinated as we go.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to do, and I've told everybody that's done these is I'm trying to figure out. So I publish a video.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out the reception of
engagement.
Yeah, the engagement side. And then obviously, share this with your people and
of course. I definitely will for sure.
And that's how I'm gauging who would be the best fit for different topics.
Different things, yeah.
With multiple guests, right? To try to mesh.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I love it. All right. So I'll definitely, and once I get the finalized link that I can share out, I'll definitely share out myself.
Yeah. And my people will look at it. I'm just building and everything, but my subscribers will look at it. They'll watch it.
Awesome.
And then we'll figure out where that comes in. I mean, I'm just trying to find like this zen, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Kind of like the perfect matrix point where it all makes sense.
Yeah. And I'm not a pro at this, so I'm just kind of.
Yeah, neither am I. So we're figuring it out as we go. So I understand that, you know what I mean? And that's probably the best way to do anything anyways.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, man, I appreciate you coming on and doing this.
Hey, thank you, brother. I appreciate that. And many more to come.
And
yeah,
I might have to come out to California just to meet
you.
you.
I'll have you over. I'll show you what Calabasas is all about. It's not as SJW as you think it is.
Well,
it gets the rep. It gets the rep, but it's not as bad as you think it is. Like, my office has been open even throughout the pandemic, but just folks were too pussy to actually stop by.
Sure. Well, we have lockdowns probably even as bad as yours are.
Maybe even worse because our lockdowns are easing again.
Yeah, ours is just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I work from home.
You might want to come down sooner than later, but just let me know and I would love to.
Yeah, I'm thinking Costa Rica long term.
Oh, well, fuck. I can't beat that. I can't beat that, buddy. That's something else.
I'll have to come out. I mean, Marty's out there and
yeah. Oh, there's a lot of people out here, man. There's so many people out here. I can't even name how many folks are out here.
Just from our industry. I mean, I'm gonna have to
exactly. Just our space. Yeah. There's a lot. And then Arizona is only a 5-hour drive or a half an hour plane trip. And there's everybody in Arizona too. So
I want to get out on the ocean and have Anthony try and teach me how to surf and make some YouTube videos out of it.
Hey, that would be awesome. I can boogie board pretty well. I eat shit in surfing, and I'm never going to try it again, probably because I had a bad experience and scared the fuck out of me.
Well,
boogie boarding, I'm badass.
I'd be the dude wearing one of those big ass like Stay Puft Marshmallow lights.
Yeah, dude, you can still get fucked up. You can still get fucked up really easy, man.
Yeah.
If you get caught in any type of like big ass wave and it turns into a riptide, you're fucked.
Yeah.
I got caught into like something like that.
Maybe start out in a pool or something. One of those.
No, start out with like someone smarter than you, and you'll be fine. You know.
All right, man.